There's a truth whispered in the old bamboo groves of China. The world does not punish weak men. It simply ignores them until they collapse under their own weight. Collapse doesn't happen suddenly. It happens silently. One distraction, one compromise, one broken promise at a time. A slow internal landslide. The Jade Scholar teaches that this collapse has one root. A man who does not align himself with the Tao becomes an enemy to his own life. Imagine a man who moves through his days as if walking through fog. Every morning, he wakes with a plan. Today, I will be focused. Today, I will be disciplined. Today, I will change. He says this with conviction, but within minutes, his phone steals his attention. A notification pulls him sideways. A small craving reroutes his morning. A moment of hesitation becomes a lost hour. He tells himself, it's fine, he'll regain control later. Later becomes evening. Evening becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes someday. He tries to compensate with bursts of motivation, short-lived flares of intensity that burn out as quickly as they ignite. His life becomes a cycle of small promises and quiet betrayals. Psychologists call this decision fatigue, the exhaustion that comes from making too many choices, most of them pointless and draining. But the Taoists had a sharper diagnosis. They believe the man's suffering came from fractured intent. His mind pulls in 12 directions, his desires in 20, his habits in none. He is not weak because he lacks strength. He is weak because he leaks strength. And the Jade Scholar would say this man is not unlucky. He is simply unaligned. To understand the Taoist system, look to the river. A river seems gentle, patient, unhurried, yet it cuts through stone, reshaping mountains over centuries with a force quieter than a whisper. This is Wu Wei, often translated poorly as non-action, but the ancient masters meant something far more challenging. Action without self-conflict, effort without strain, power without rigidity. Imagine two men lifting the same weight. One strains, tightens, shakes, resists. The other moves with calm precision, breath aligned, body loose. Both lift the weight, but only one can repeat the motion 1,000 times. That is Wu Wei. It is not for the weak. It is not for the chaotic. It is not for the undisciplined. The Jade Scholar embodies this principle in every motion. He writes in flowing strokes that look effortless, but behind each stroke lies years of brutal repetition. 1,000 failed characters, 1,000 ink-stained nights. Wu Wei demands alignment. Alignment demands sacrifice, and sacrifice terrifies those who want results without direction. Every transformation begins with conflict. The weak self does not surrender quietly. It fights like a trapped animal inside the mind. When you attempt to change, you trigger biological alarms. Your limbic system floods you with cravings. Your body clings to comfort. Your psychology invents excuses disguised as logic. You say, I need rest. Your old self whispers, I deserve a break. You say, I'll start after I feel ready. your old self says you never will. Taoist sages recognized this battle thousands of years before modern neuroscience had language for it. They called it the conflict of the two selves, the self shaped by nature and the self shaped by intention. The Jade Scholar portrays this conflict with a parable. A young monk tried to calm his mind during meditation. The more he tried, the louder his thoughts became. His teacher said, "You are wrestling the river. Let it pass. Align with its flow." The monk learned that fighting the old self only strengthens it. The goal is not to overpower impulses, but to stop feeding them. This is the internal war that weak men lose. They try to control everything except the one thing that matters: their direction. Taoist discipline starts with a principle modern men avoid. Choose one path, and the others must die. Not literally, but psychologically. A man who tries to be everything becomes nothing. A man who keeps every door open never walks through any. Weak men collapse because their identity is a crowd of contradictory selves, each pulling them toward a different life. The Jade Scholar teaches that a man becomes disciplined, not because he forces himself into action, but because he eliminates the chaos that competes with action. This system requires 3 uncomfortable truths. Truth 1. If your life is cluttered, your mind will be too. Truth 2. If your identity is undefined, your habits will be inconsistent. Truth 3. If you chase too many goals, you lose the strength to reach any of them. Wu Wei becomes possible only when your life points in a single direction, when your actions, habits, responsibilities, and environment align like the bones of a single unbroken spine. This is why Taoism feels harsh. It requires the death of distraction, the burial of unnecessary desires, the cutting away of everything that weakens your focus. The river does not split into 10 streams. It chooses one channel and destroys whatever stands in its way. Consistency is where most men fall. They begin strong, inspired, determined, but they fold at the first sign of discomfort, or boredom, or chaos. Taoist mastery is built in the opposite way. Small daily motions that never stop. A rhythm that survives mood, circumstance, frustration, and weather. This is not discipline as punishment. It is discipline as identity. Neuroscience supports this deeply. The brain rewires only through repetition without interruption. Habits become automatic only when the gap between repetitions is small enough that the habit doesn't cool down. This is why calligraphers practice the same stroke thousands of times, why martial artists drill forms until they can strike without thinking, why scholars recite texts until the words become part of their breathing. The Jade Scholar teaches, discipline is not what you occasionally force yourself to do. Discipline is what you do even when you are not paying attention. Weak men collapse because their discipline depends on emotional weather. Aligned men rise because their discipline has become muscle memory. Ancient Chinese warriors were masters of anticipation. They did not wait for chaos, they prepared for it. Before going to battle, they walked the field, studied the terrain, positioned their forces, and rehearsed the attack. This was not paranoia, it was survival. Modern psychology calls this pre-deciding, a shield forged before the blow. The Jade Scholar applied this to the inner world. Before writing, he sharpened the brush. Before study, he arranged the desk. Before meditation, he aligned his breath. These rituals are not decoration, they are architecture. When you prepare for your challenges, you remove the need for motivation. You remove the chance of negotiation. You remove the opportunity for indecision. This is why weak men collapse under stress. They arrive at life unprepared. They have no systems for fatigue, no plan for distraction, no ritual for focus, no structure for consistency. Taoist discipline trains you to see obstacles before they arrive and to pre-shape your response. In this system, life becomes less chaotic, not because the world changes, but because you do. Transformation is subtle, a quiet shift that happens after months of steady alignment. One day, the man who once struggled to wake early now rises before dawn without thinking. The man who once drowned in impulses now moves through the day with a calm, unbroken rhythm. The man who once feared discipline now treats discipline as breathing. He is not tense. He is not rigid. He is not forcing anything. He has become a river. He has become alignment embodied. This is what terrifies weak men. Not that the disciplined man is stronger, but that he is calmer, less conflicted, less divided inside. The Jade Scholar would say, a man aligned with the Tao walks through chaos untouched. The transformation is not loud, not dramatic, not cinematic. It is simply the birth of a self who no longer collapses because there is nothing left inside him to collapse. Alignment replaces weakness. Direction replaces chaos. Identity replaces impulse. And the man becomes unshakable. If this philosophy resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe for more lessons from the Jade Scholar and the path of Taoist stillness and Confucian order.